Hello, Happy New Year. Hard to believe, 2025, huh? My goodness, time goes so fast. Say, last Sunday night, we got together, a group of us at the church, and I posed a question. Is God writing the end of a chapter in your book? And is he asking you to let him write the end of a chapter in your book so that he can begin writing the next chapter? Well, a very common question, right? At the beginning of a brand new year. I know it's only a flip of a page in a calendar, but it does make us think as to where we're at, especially in terms of our walk with the Lord. God doesn't always have his change. It doesn't mean that we necessarily have to stop doing something and start doing something else, but there are seasons and times. And I think sometimes we can get too comfortable where we're at, right, as far as our mission and our vision and our calling. And sometimes it's just we need something new. He needs to stretch us so that we don't get comfortable in our walk with the Lord. It has to be always onward and upward. I don't believe that it has to be a major lifestyle change, but I do believe in seasons, and I do believe that the human animal has to always face a new challenge, or we can get very complacent. The Bible speaks of God doing this to certain people, and one great example is the case of Elijah and Elisha. We read about them in 1st and 2nd Kings. Elijah had come from a very victorious experience on Mount Carmel against 450 prophets of Baal, and God rewarded that effort by defeating these prophets. But shortly after that, Elijah went through a real period of depression. And one of the things that God told Elijah to do as he was coming out of this depression was to appoint a successor, which he did. And his successor in ministry was Elisha. These two guys, God used them in ways beyond anything that any of us have ever experienced. But I want to read a passage of scripture in 1 Kings 19 about the call of Elisha, starting at verse 19. So Elijah went and found Elisha, son of Shaphat, plowing a field. There were 12 teams of oxen in the field, and Elisha was plowing with the 12th team. Elijah went over to him and threw his cloak across his shoulders and then walked away. I just love that. I have this vision in my mind. Anyway, Elisha left the oxen standing there, ran after Elijah, and said to him, "First, let me go and kiss my father and mother goodbye, and then I will go with you." Elijah replied, "Go on back, but think about what I have done to you." Some translations there say, "Go ahead. Consider what I've done to you." I kind of read it that way. I may be wrong, but that's how I read it. So Elisha returned to his oxen and slaughtered them. He used the wood from the plow to build a fire to roast their flesh. He passed around the meat to the townspeople, and they all ate. Then he went with Elijah as his assistant. Elisha, it gives us an incredible public example of letting God finish one chapter so that he could start writing another, huh? He didn't do this privately. It says that he wanted to kiss mom and dad goodbye, but he did more than that. He finished his course. He finished his job. I mean, he was working for his dad. Must have been a big farm, 12 teams of oxen. What did he do? He made it impossible to return to his old life. He took the plow and he broke it up and he set it on fire. And then he slaughtered the oxen and he cooked them over the fire. And then the third thing he did as a public witness was he had a big party, invited the whole town. Everybody knew that Elisha was making a change. Everybody knew that Elisha was letting God start a new chapter in his life. You know, oftentimes God will call us to change because as human beings, we need change. As human beings, we need a new challenge to keep us from falling backwards. So, is God asking you to let him turn the page in your life? Is there a season of ministry that he's had you in? Is there a season of study or just understanding him that has come to a close so that he can open a new chapter? And listen, it's always going forward. Our experience and our life and experience with God always goes forward. Is He stretching you today? Will you let Him stretch you today? God bless you.